Are you concerned about having to use the Texas Formative Assessment Resource, or TFAR? Well, fear not, for today you get to watch Dr. Strange Drum, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love TFAR, a practical guide to navigating the Texas Formative Assessment Resource and loving yourself. A lot of trepidation around TFAR this year, understandably so. Hopefully this video will work as a resource for you that you can come back to and look at bits and pieces of as you need, or sit down and watch the whole thing through in one shot. It doesn't really make a difference. I do highly recommend that you open up TFAR for yourself and kind of follow along with me, because the best way to learn is by doing. And so if you have this video up in one window and TFAR up in another window, or have this video up on your phone so that you just have a separate monitor going on, you'll probably have an easier time than trying to watch and go back and forth. So here's just a very brief overview of what it is we're actually going to be learning in this video. So first I'm going to show you how to access it. It's not very difficult to get in there. And then we're actually going to start breaking down TFAR by looking at its 3 main points. A great starting point, how to make a test, how to make items, how to publish tests and share things, and then how to actually administer tests to your students. If you're in a hurry, then you can go ahead and skip to 2.B, the starting point, and that'll just get you started on, you'll get a test made in a few minutes and then be able to give it out to your kids. Additionally, if you want to take some DMAC stuff and turn it into TFAR things, 2.D is going to have that for you. And then in 2.C, I'm going to show English teachers the stuff that they're probably most concerned about, namely how to, make passages and then link things to them, stuff of that nature. Again, so feel free to, at any point, skip around, look at different parts, go back and forth. That's what it's for. So let's go ahead and get started with the accessing part. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with just the basics. How do you actually access the Texas Formative Assessment Resource, or TFAR? So to start, open up your browser and you're going to go to texasassessment.gov and then click on Testing Personnel. If you're like me and you're probably going to be going back to this a whole bunch, I recommend bookmarking it. I have it bookmarked. I'm not happy about it, but I've got it bookmarked. Once you go to the testing personnel part, you're going to scroll down and look for TFAR. Go ahead and click that, open it up. If you have not logged in this year, or ever, then you're going to have to do this. This doesn't take but a few minutes, and once you go through this part, it will send you the information you need to get logged in. Once you get your info set up, it'll be the same thing for all time, and then just go ahead and say secure login. And that's it. Okay, so once you actually sign into TFAR, you're going to be presented with 3 tabs that are going to kind of split everything in TFAR into its 3 main parts. So what I want to do is very briefly go through those 3 parts, and then we will go from there. So when you log in, this is the window you're going to see. And the 3 parts are split amongst these 3 tabs at the top. We have items, tests, and standards. So if I go to items, the last thing you search for will be here, but if I clear all these filters, it'll just kind of throw these, various things at me. Maybe I just looked at, things that were shared recently, all that stuff. Items is just the name for questions. So this is how I go find individual questions. Tests works much the same way. If I clear these filters here, it's just going to give me kind of the most recently shared published tests I've got on hand. And then standards, as expected, has all the standards. And this is actually what we're going to spend some time on in the next part, by digging into how to actually find the standards you're looking for, and from there being able to find the other things that you need, like associated tests and items. Okay, so once you know what the official TFAR code is of the standard that you're looking for, you can actually go in and create a test. So if you're in a hurry, the most important thing you need to do is figure out what the standard code is that you're looking for, And then afterwards, it's really easy to just quickly make a test. So I'm going to jump in and show you 2 ways to do that. Okay, so from here, you can go to create new test. But if you really just need a test pretty quick, then I recommend you check out this test generator wizard. We're going to call this one test in a hurry. Let's say I'm teaching grade 8, I'll just say math, and then next step. Your selected options things will keep generating over here, but don't worry about that too much. Just go ahead and follow through this guided part. You can also go to a quick key and just look for the standard if you already looked it up, but again, you're in a hurry. We're grade 8, pick the strand you're going for. I'm just going to pick, we'll say, 2-dimensional shapes. Student expectation, I'll choose this one, and then align. And you can do this multiple times, so you can see, like, okay, I've selected these standards, maybe I'll pick some more. We'll keep it in the 2-dimensional world. Maybe this time I'll pick this one, align to student expectation. Okay, then I'm going to say next step. This is then going to give you the selected standards that you just picked, as well as how many questions are available, and if you want to add all of them or none of them. Or, how many. So maybe I don't want to add 10 of these. Maybe I just want to add, like, like 3. Let's do 7. Now we have a nice 10-question test. I'll just say generate test. And you can review it. And now from here, I can actually go through and look at the questions it randomly, selected based on the standards that I picked. And I can also, change the order, look at the answer key, things of that nature. But if you need to make a test really fast, that's how you use the generator. So next, let's look at how you can make one with a little more time. Okay, so here again, I can look up tests by standards, or I can just wholly create a brand new test. So what I'm actually going to do is just click this test tabs up here. Now, depending on what you've got checked over here is going to show you what you see over here. So I'm actually going to turn that little label off. So this is showing me, if I open this up like this, this is going to show me pretty much every test I kind of have access to at the moment. So what I want to do is be more specific about it. So let's say I want to find tests that are English and that were shared with me. And we'll just apply. So then I have all of these English tests that have been shared, that have been published with me. I can actually click any of these and hit this copy button, but we'll look at that here in a minute. So it may not make sense why I'm showing the test view before I show you like the items view, the question view. But the reason is that if you're using this for just interim kind of testing, and you're kind of good with just grabbing whatever tests are in here already, then, this is really about it. Like, just go find the one you want, and if you need to make some changes, then I'll show you how to do that in a second. But let's say that I am we'll uncheck that one. I'm a science teacher, and we'll say grade 9. Well, then here's all these units that were created by region, and actually it just got shared today. So if I wanted to give a test over this, I can just preview it here, and I can look at the questions in it. Now, when you preview something, this is how it's previewing it to you in, like the student view. If I want to go in here and really like unpack this test, I'm going to have to probably make a copy of it. So let's say I want to give this Unit 1 test. I'm going to hit this copy button. Okay. And now I've made a copy of it, but I'm not going to see it because I still have this selected. So instead, I'm going to turn this off and click on test I created. There's my copy. Now I can click the name of it, and I can scroll through and look at each of these questions individually. And I can even add more. I can publish this out myself. I can make a booklet of it, all that good stuff. I can click the summary here. It'll give me a breakdown of the standards, the different item types, all that kind of stuff. But if you just want to make a test, like from scratch all on your own and go find the questions and things, then from this home tab here, or from the test part, you can click on Create New Test. Over here on the left, it's going to show you, underneath this Layout tab, all the different questions you've got put in there. So since we just made a brand new test, there's nothing. So you have two options. You can either make a brand new question from scratch, or you can look up questions from the library and just add them directly to this test. So let's say I want to do that. Before I do that, I want to give my test a name. So if I click this Test Properties, it'll give me an option to change the name. So I'm going to call this, what are we going to call this? What have we not done? Let's do Social Studies Sample. That's fine. You can uncheck this and choose which grade specifically you're looking for, or it will pull the grade level from the questions you add. You can also enable stuff from here, but we're not going to worry about the rest of this right now. I just wanted the name to be what I could remember later. Social Studies Sample. Okay, so I'm going to add from library. I can click this here and I can look at all these different things I've got. So I can say item shared with me, star release library, new item sampler. You can also look for specific new item types, but I'm going to leave that alone for now. We are doing social studies. And let's say I'm 8th grade and apply. So these are all the different, let me get this out of the way. These are all the different 8th grade social studies tests questions from all those different things. So if I wanted to look at any of these, I could just click this and it will show me what it looks like. This isn't like a great preview, but I mean it's there. It is there. You can see the item type. This is simple text entry. This one as well, simple text entry. Let's pick. I saw one that said hot text. Here we go, hot text. This one is the hot text one. So let's say I want one of these. I can click this and add item to test. And then maybe I want, let's do table match, add item to test. We can do this hot text one, add item to test. Cool, okay. So now I can get out of this add menu by just clicking on any of these individual questions here. And it'll actually give me the question. So what were two significant ways in which the Louisiana Purchase affected the development of the United States and right international rate percent? You can just type in your plate, it doesn't do anything. You can score it if you hit this, but this can't be automatically scored. So if I come in here, this one's the table matching, which region did each event take place? Gold discovered was north, south, score. And you can score it for yourself and see if you've got it right or wrong or not. Oh, I was really thinking about it. You can also click this item properties one. If it's not your item, you can't change any of this. This just gives you kind of a description of the things. This Save as PDF button only goes to this particular item. So look at that. Okay, I got one of possible two. Go me. But if I wanted to move this up and down in my test, I can move it up and down like question order. I can delete this one out altogether. I can add more from right here. And then I can make questions from here. But we're going to look at making questions here in a second. So when I'm done making my test, I'm actually going to come out of here. Let's go to this biology one. It's a little bit bigger. So when I'm done making my test, everything is good. What you have to do is publish it. Once you publish it, you can't change anything. So this is going to be my test for me. But you can't have students take a test that isn't published. So once you publish it, you can actually assign it to your students. And we're going to look at how to administer tests here in just a second. So those are the two easiest ways to just kind of quickly get a test together. Is just either using this test generator wizard and just finding the standards, or just creating a whole new test from the beginning. But you can always just click on this tab and just kind of look through the different tests that have been shared with you. So if I just want to see the tests that have been shared with me, I can turn all these off and say apply. And then you see there's 54 items. Most of these are from region. So I can click through these pages here and I can look at all the different tests that have been shared with me. Now, if somebody in your department makes a test and they share it with you, it will also show up here if you have this test shared with me. So that is the quick part of how you make a test. If you are an English teacher, you're going to stick around for the next section because that's going to be just for you. Everyone else, we're going to go look at how to make an item. Okay, English teachers, you have a little bit something special with yours. All of your questions have to be attached to a stimulus, which is a TFAR word for a passage, a poem, a nonfiction text, something. They have to be attached to it before you can actually have questions on it. So I'm going to show you how to make tests for you specifically, and then it'll kind of feed into what we just talked about and what we will talk about here shortly with making questions. Okay, so English teachers, same spot as before. We're always going to start at this little home thing. And for y'all, what I would do is actually start with tests. And then I would search and see what is in here already that has been shared with you. So you can choose your subject, choose your grade. Let's say I'm 7th grade. It's going to show you these two tests because these were the two that Region has shared with us. And you can click this preview and take a look at it. All that stuff from there. What I wanted you to see specifically is actually in items. So if I go into items, I'm going to say star released, new item sampler, that's fine. And then subject, English, choose your grade. Again, I'm going to choose grade 7, apply. Now here's what you have to notice. You're just going to see these stimulus. So when you look for stuff, you're just going to see stimulus, unless you look for in a different, more specific way. But you can see all these standards attached. So essentially, these are all the independent questions or passages that have been shared that we can look through and see. We have 34, so I can actually click through here and take a look at them. And these were created by TEAs, so these are the ones that were kind of sent to us. If you want to see what's actually on these, then you can click this preview button, and it'll bring it up for you. Now here's where it gets confusing for English teacher parts. The stimulus is over here, but when you're making your test, you have to attach your stimulus before you start attaching your questions. So let me show you what that means. So this winter hibiscus here is the stimulus. It exists all by itself. These questions can't exist on their own without the stimulus attached to it. So if I wanted to build a test, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to uncheck this so I can actually see my own stuff. And I'm going to say create new test. And from library, we need to change this so that it shows us the right things. I'm going to look at English and grade 7 and apply. Okay. So here I can actually see all these these are all the grade 7 English passages, and they will have all their questions attached when I add them. So if I click this, it'll show me this little baby preview, and then I just say add item to test. This little paperclip means that there's more than one thing attached to it. So this is my stimulus, and these are all the questions that go along with it. These two check boxes down here, okay, these are relevant because these, if you hit the smaller one, it attaches onto the whole thing, onto the stimulus itself. This big one will just add a whole new question. This is just something to keep in mind if you're really trying to quickly get a test together as like English teacher. So if I go back to tests and I need to just really quickly make one, I'm just going to say ELAR sample, and then I say grade 7, subject, we are doing, I can't read, where's English? There it is, okay. Next step, I have to choose a subject and grade, I did. Go back. If I already know what I'm looking for, though. Let's say I already know what I'm looking for. R.7.8, B. Next step. So of those, I have 11 possible questions in that one standard. And then, let's just say I'm going to add all of them. I'm going to add the whole thing. Okay. Generate test. Review test. Now this is going to give me all 11 questions I added that were tagged with that, that standard I looked for. but notice that it's going to add the whole passage. So the only one in here for 7th grade is actually this paired passage here. So that's what that looks like, just for English teachers, and specifically. Now, any teacher may create stimulus and stuff to go with it, which kind of we'll look at more in the items section. But I just wanted English teachers to know if you're trying to make a test really quickly, then that's something you're going to want to be aware of. Okay, so the previous making tests section, that really was just kind of a very fast and dirty way of like, we got to put a test together. Here's how we're going to put it together, and it's going to be great. This part is going to be a little more deliberate, and we're going to think through our things a little bit more. That way we can control more of the tests we want. A benefit of TFAR is that so much content is already put in there that has like the new item types, but for some subjects and grades, it's pretty limited. And for a lot of teachers, it may not be what they're really looking for. So what I'm going to do with this one is show you how to make all the different kinds of questions you can make, and then, how to attach them and look for them and stuff on a test. And then later on, we're also going to look at how to actually put like bootleg DMAC and stuff, but that'll be a different section. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so once again, here on the home page, we can go to the items part by just clicking this, or we can look at any of these. So to start, we're just going to click on this tab, and we're just kind of going to look through all the different questions that we have access to. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to grab science again, and we'll leave grade 7. It did not find anything. Oh, because there is no grade 7 science. Ha, that's my bad. Turn that off, we'll say grade 8. There we go, okay. So, grade 8 science. Now you can see the different item types here. Stimulus, we have simple text entry, multiple choice, multi-part, image, drag and drop, hotspot. We'll look at all that stuff here in a second. Anything that's not a stimulus is a straight up question. A stimulus is going to be like a passage if you're looking at a reading test, or in this case, this is probably, a figure, a comparison of figures. It may be a map in social studies. It could be a chart or a graph in math. A stimulus is just anything that's going to have questions attached to it. So, think of it in that way. So we can actually filter out by item type. So if I want to see only the stimuli, I can click that. So there's only this one here for grade 8 science, just this one here, and then there's these 2 questions attached to it. If I want to look at any of the other ones, I can do those as well. So maybe I want to see the hotspot ones that they gave us. Here it is. And then it shows me with these little blue circles the spots I can choose. So it's me to choose 3 answers. If I just click 1, 2, 3, then that's it. So that's how you can kind of look through and see what's already in here. You can also click on this item shared with me and see if anyone has shared independent items with you. Usually they have not. So that's how you can just see if the question's already there. Now what if you need to make a whole new question, or you just want to search their questions up by a particular standard? The first thing we are going to do is we're going to go find that standard we want. So let's say I'm going to do science. I'm going to say preview. And I am teaching 8th grade science. We'll do organisms and environments. And we just went this one. So S811B. Come back here to items. We're going to turn this one off so I can actually see stuff. We got science 8 S.8.11.B. And then it'll give me every question that has been tagged with that standard, as well as what kind of question it is. So then I can click this little preview here and look at this question. So this is the multi-part question, and it looks like the rest of these are just multiple choice. So that is how you can just look for items. Now, if you want to create your own, you can just hit create an item. So we have to, you just leave the name, whatever. But we're going to do grade 8. We'll do science, because that's what we're doing. And then this guided one will guide us through selecting the things we need. So grade 8, strand, we were doing organisms and environments. We'll bring up student expectation. Let's do like this one. We can align it. So this is literally just setting up the question. Down here, you can see all the different kinds of item types. Once you choose one of these, you can't change it, so pick carefully. If you need to make your own stimulus, like a reading passage or like a map or a graph of some kind, then you can do that here as well. But all this up here does is this helps you and other people that you share your questions with find the questions. So don't stress too much about this being perfect. You just want it to be so that you can go back and find it again. So let's say I'm going to do we'll just say a multiple choice one for now. That's easy enough. Okay. Now the item builder here is kind of similar to DMACs. So if you're comfortable with DMACs, this really isn't that much more different. So here in item prompt, this is where we actually type the question. So if my question is, why does hot air rise? Then you can just put your options here. Reason 2, or there's reason 2, reason 3. Okay. Then down here is where you build out the answer keys. So maximum score of 1, there can usually only be one right answer. If you have multiple, then it changes your item type. But if you wanted to give them a rationale, you can. You don't have to do that. Let's say reason 2 is my correct answer. I have that one checked. If reason 1 is my correct answer, maybe I check that one. Whatever. Notice that if I make this, I can't make this higher or lower, but I can make this one that way. So if I have a maximum score of 2, but this one's only worth 1 point, then nobody can get the max score. If I hit this plus here, well, now I can actually choose 2 correct answers, but I'm going to get rid of that because I don't want that. We're just doing very basic multiple choice here. Once I'm done, I just say save item, and that's it. Now this particular question I can go find and add to tests, and that's all I have to do to actually make questions. So let's make another one. And this one we're going to make with, we'll change things up. We'll go to 8, we'll say social studies, grade 8, a lot of standards. Let's pick maybe geography. Yeah. We'll do geography, student expectation, locate places. Perfect. Okay, aligned. Now let's say I wanted to do a different kind of item type here, like hotspot. So this is the item prompt, which means like this is the question, right? So like choose the 3 locations of significant battles in the Civil War. Cool. Then you actually have to upload the picture, and then you can start choosing which particular which particular things you want there, putting where the answers are and stuff. This is also going to load where the right answer is. So these new item types, you just kind of have to play with a little bit, but once you get them, once you start putting them together, it's not that unusual. But I highly recommend you just look and see what's already in here, because there's a bunch of things already in here, unless you're an English teacher, unfortunately. If you are an English teacher and we want to filter and search for things, I also have the standard enabled. Get rid of that. There we go. Then you have to look at it this way. So we've already got like these are all the stimulus, and then these are all the standards that get asked. So when you're looking for English questions, you're never going to find like one particular question. You're only going to get stimulus like this. So I'm going to go back to my grade 7 example, because this is the only one I have memorized. But if I'm looking for just this standard, and I say apply, it's not going to give me every question with those standards. It is only going to give me the stimulus. And then I have to say preview so I can actually see what the questions are. Okay, now to actually put items onto tests, sorry, hold on. Sorry, the bell went off. Okay, so if I wanted to add these items to tests, you actually have to do that in the tests part. So if I just say create new test, add from library, and then I can search for them again, just like I learned about in the last section. So that is how you make items. Generally speaking, you don't really need to do a lot of making of items unless you're trying to do what we're about to do in the next part, which is bootlegging DMAC. So the biggest complaint I've heard so far about TFAR is that there is not a ton of content available for all subjects and all grades, and that is a valid complaint. Most people in the district usually really would just rather use DMAC because a lot of stuff is already in DMAC. And that's justified. So what I want to show you is how to take your stuff from DMAC that you have and recreate it in TFAR. It is by no means a simple or easy process. That's a lie. It's not difficult, but it's tedious, and it will take time. But if you just kind of do it and get a little flow going, it isn't the worst. So I will let's go ahead and hop in, and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, back again at our favorite place here on this little home tab. But over here in this other tab, I have DMAC open. So what I am going to do actually is I'm going to split my windows so that I've got TFAR on one side and DMAC on the other side. There's like 100 different ways to do this. I use this little extension called Tab Resizer that just lets me click this and puts them in there like that. Alternatively, if you are on Windows 11, which you will know if you have this little guide on here, or Windows 10, I think, you can grab your tab and drag it over here. You see how it makes that little translucent window pop up? And then it'll ask you which of your other tabs and windows you want to have open. So I actually want this one. And now they're kind of split in half. And if you do it this way, you can also like natively grab and resize and move around. So here's what we're going to do. Let's say I've got some a passage as an English teacher in tag that I really like. I didn't want to test, actually wanted items. Then I'm going to come in here, I'm going to search for it, and let's say specifically I'm looking for a passage. And I know the passage already off the top of my head, so I'm going to say on, and I'm looking for a passage called Poplar. And I did not find it. There we go. So there's Poplar. So this is the passage that I'm looking for. This passage is an TFAR. This is one that we got from STAR in 2017, but it's not in TFAR, but I want to use it anyway. What I'm going to do is actually basically create a whole new test based on this. So if you're not going to add stimulus, right, a passage or something like that from DMAC, then you can kind of zone out on this part. But I'm going to show you kind of the whole deal. So over here, I'm going to say create new test, and I'm going to create from a template, and I'm going to say grade 7, and now I got to move my driver a little bit so I can see a little easier. And I want to say English, and like I said, I already had that one poetry standard memorized. It's like I've done this before. Okay. Now remember, because I'm making an English test, I have to actually make the thing first. So I'm going to say stimulus. I have to make the passage before I can attach the questions to it down here. So in this compose stimulus window, it's just a blank canvas, if you will. I can actually take this and copy and paste the whole thing, just highlighting all of this over here and hitting Control-C and paste it. Notice the formatting is kind of funky and the picture doesn't come with it, but if the picture is not relevant, then don't worry about it. And get this. Now here's something to keep in mind, especially if it's poetry. All this highlighting over here, this business, these get translated as literal hitting the space bars 100 times. So all that will go over there with you. So this is not truly, like centered or anything. It's just there. If that isn't a problem, then it's not a problem, and I wouldn't worry about it personally. But if it is going to be a problem for you, and like, you know, whatever your students are doing, then I would maybe change it up. So you can come in here and format and play with and do all the modification you feel like you need to do until it's right. The line breaks in here are here. There's one at industriously. There's one at must be. And there's one at plaintively. Okay. I'm going to make this big again so I can see the buttons. Whoop. Alright, so once I get that, I'm just going to say save item. I'll make that small again so I can actually see it. Or see DMAC. There we go. Alright, now when I hit this plus beneath the thing, I'm going to start making questions that attach to just that stimulus. So over here in DMAC, let's make this big. If I scroll up over here, this will show me all the items attached to it. So you can kind of see where we're going with this. We're just going to start kind of copy and pasting things out of here into here. So if I say create from template, grade 7, I want English, make this bigger again. If you have two windows, you can open one in one window and then have the other one open in the other window. And that will probably make your life a little bit easier. But I'm recording on just this one screen. So I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for you. Okay. Notice that because I click this one and I'm attaching it to this one, I can't choose stimulus again. Because I'm attaching it, you can't have a stimulus for a stimulus. So there's a multiple choice question here. So I'm just going to say multiple choice select. And then over here, I can just triple click the question, Control C to copy, triple click to highlight all this text, and paste. Over here, same thing. Oop. You can also hit Control A when you click in here to select all that text at the same time. Alright, now my correct answer is B, does not provide much protection for others. I scroll down here. You can ignore all this, and I just need to make sure I choose this one. Notice that if you have multiple choices, it's going to yell at you and won't let you do it. So uncheck the wrong answer. Leave this one done. Here's our save button. And our question is ready. So now when I click back into the stimulus here, it's going to load it up the way, well, this is a bad example. There we go. It's going to load it up the way that the students will actually see it in here. So all the questions we build will be here. Let's do another one just so we can see that. So again, I'm going to hit this, create from template. I want grade 7, English, quick key, RLA.7.8.v, multiple choice. And we'll grab this question here. Now, like I said, it's tedious. It really is, but there is no easy way to make it work. Okay, so question saved. I got two questions here, so now when I click on the stimulus, now I see both here. And I can actually practice answering it and hitting this little item score. What I also want to show you is that you can adapt these questions to the new item types. So if you kind of have yourself set at like I need to have at least, two out of every 10 questions, 20%, 25% of my questions need to be new item types. You can make them whole cloth in here just like anything else because you're making this test. But you can also just make these as much like the new item types as possible. So if I hit this plus here, I'm going to create from template, choose on my business again. Okay. And let's say I wanted to do like this edit task inline choice. I can choose this one. Okay. Now this one has an extra layer of a little bit of confusion. This is going to be not what they're editing, but the directions, right? So the item prompt is the direction. So I'm gonna have this say like, select the best answer from the available choices in the drop-down menu. Okay. So then I'm actually going to come here and get rid of all this at the same time. And notice that it's barking at me because I have to have at least one editable section, which means that I have to have at least one thing that can actually do to answer the question. So let's say I want to do this one here. Now this, and then I say set as editable. This is going to give me, this is where I'm actually going to put my answer choices. Now the one caveat to this is that whatever it is you highlight to make editable is going to stay there as like a choice, so to speak. I'm going to say okay. That's okay because we haven't done this part yet. So if I click in here, all these are in here, say okay. It tried to automatically save it, that's why I yelled at us. But then we need to choose the right answer down here. So if I click here, our right answer is why the poplar is unappealing. Okay. And then that's it. And then I just say save. And now I have that new item type there. So to preview it, I can click back on my stimulus. And here is what it'll look like. So then I can click through here and pick the one I'm looking for. So if I think it was this one, it's the right answer. And then I can choose, that one, and then I can hit the scoring one again. But as you saw earlier, this takes a minute. So let me show you what a full test that I recreated looks like. I believe this is poetry test here. So this is a test I was just building, but it's already done. So this has all the questions as well as a few, one or two more that we wrote for it. So here's the drop down. Notice this inline choice because all I did was highlight blank. Just something to tell your kids ahead of time, like ignore this. This is obviously the wrong answer. I also have this new item type here. Select the 3 lines in stanza 1. All of these are choices. They just have to pick 3 that actually answer the question. So like I said, it's tedious, but it is possible, and it's not difficult. It takes time. It takes time. So if there's something in DMAC you really liked using, whether it's a passage or a certain question or whatever, you can totally just recreate it by just copy and pasting. It just takes a little bit more time. Okay, hardest part's done. We've actually made the tests, we've made the items, everything is beautiful, we bootleg DMAC, we're ready to go. Now we need to actually get the test into people's hands, both our students and maybe other people in our department that want to do the test. So let's hop into TFAR and look at how to do that. Ta-da, we're back. Okay, so if I go to tests, the first thing I'm going to notice is that some of these tests have different statuses. So this one has a status of draft, this one's published. The thing to know is that once it's published, you can't edit anything on it anymore. You can't change the questions. You can't do any of that. No longer, not available. So when let's say I'm looking at this one here. This one's a draft. This is what we were making in the previous section here. I can hit this preview test button and see what it looks like for students. Once I hit publish test, I can't make any more changes. So if I publish it, that's it. And I can't even change the items, right? Like, so if something is spelled wrong or whatever, that's too bad. You gotta go back and redo some stuff. Now, even if a test is published, you can edit that test. Or you can make a copy of it and edit it later. So even like this one here that's published, if I really wanted to do stuff with this, I still can, even though it's published. I just have to hit this copy button so that I can actually make changes to those things on it. But let's say I want to, not this one in particular, let's say I want to give this test to somebody else. I want to share it with people that I'm working with. Maybe I helped some of my English teachers make this test. and now they need it so they can get it. Click this little checkbox here, and then you're going to click on share. Now you can share things that are already out, that are drafts, and then people can make changes and you can work on it too. But notice how these are already like this. So that I've already published this test, so they can't do any of these things. But if I come back to a test I haven't published yet, like this one here that's a draft, and say share, then I can reselect these things again. But I have to actually find people I want to share it with. So this searching here for an individual, this links up to the Cambium system. So everyone who's in it, which should be everybody at this point, you can just pull up. So if I wanted to share this test with, say, Miss Chalberia, all right, I can start typing in her name. There she is. And then if all I want her to be able to do is view it, then she can see it, she can make copies of it, she can do whatever she wants with the copies, but she can't do anything with mine. If I want her to be able to edit that test, I can do the same thing. She can go in there, add questions, delete questions, change questions, yada, yada, yada. If I want her to have publishing rights, she can have that too. But once she publishes it, I can't do anything else with it. So that's an important thing to remember before you give people those permissions. But maybe I'll just leave this as view for now. What if so I'm just going to say save. Now on her end, she'll be able to see anything that's been shared with her. But what if I have a work group of people that I share things with? Let's say I'm the English teacher and I want to share this with the other English teachers. I can look for various work groups I am part of. And work groups are, yeah, that's fine. Not that complicated. So this is a work group here that I have made. And this has our English department in it. And I can go choose, like, who do I want to add to it? Maybe, I want to add somebody to it. That's fine. Maybe I want to make a new work group. So I'm going to title this work group Middle School Math. And you will probably not see all these, but I have, every campus or whatever, so I'm just going to choose the campus I'm adding it to. And then I'm going to search for people to add it to. So first we're going to add their learning leader, and then we'll add 6th grade math, 7th grade math, and 8th grade math. And then save. When you make a work group, it's yours. You're automatically in it. So now if I go back here to sharing, instead of sharing to an individual, I can share to a work group. So then if I type in MS, it'll just start bringing up my group. So I just made this math one, but this is actually a poetry test, so I'm just going to choose them. And then I can give them rights to view it as well. Now, if I don't want them to have it again, I can also take that away. Now they can't see it. And I can also do this. Now nobody has access to it but me again. And that's still true because that little share icon is not here. Like it is down here. So that's how you share tests and things that you've made with other people. Now, if I actually wanted to give a test, such as this one, I can click this little checkbox here and hit administer. So if I'm looking at this, I can choose a start date for the test and an end date for the test. And then I can choose who else I want to administer. So right now I have this teacher who I helped make the test for. She's got sharing permissions to administer the test. But this isn't really the way that teachers are going to do it. So if you have a test you've built, it will be in your libraries already or one that's been shared with you. What you want to do is actually go into the next part we're about to look at here, which is in TA. But before you can actually give tests, you have to publish them. So make sure that whatever test it is you're going to give is right and is good to go, and then you're going to publish it. So in our next section, we're going to look at how to actually give and administer tests. All right, administering a test. This is where it all comes down to. So once you get your test made and you have it published, give yourself a good little 3-minute break so that everything in the back end can kind of sync up and catch up. And then we're going to jump into the test administration part, and I'll show you guys how to get your kids logged in and taking your test. Okay, so here we are again in the home part, but notice we're still in authoring. So what we need to do is we're going to just verify the test that I've made. So these are the tests I've made. Okay, they all are. I like this test. It's been published, but maybe I'm going to give this biology test today. If it's published and you've got the right administration dates, what you can do is click on Switch Applications, and then go to TA, which is Test Administration for Interim and Operational Testing. You'll have to log into it. It's the same login as your TFAR login. It's all the same thing. And here it is. So any sessions you have going will be listed right here. If you don't have any, then obviously you don't have any. What I actually recommend you do, especially if you're going to use these for like 6 weeks tests or something like that, is go to Scheduled Unproctored Sessions, and then say Create Session. I have to choose the administration I'm administering it to. You will probably not have to. I have to choose the times I'm doing it. So if these are the dates of my 6 weeks test, then great. I'm going to say next. You have access to these tests that are in here, but I want that poetry test I made, or that biology test I made. So here are the tests that I can add right now. So I'm going to choose this biology unit 1 test. And I'm just going to say biology 6 weeks test 1, whatever. And then save session. Here's where I actually can't demo this exactly. I'll show you what it looks like. But your students will know to log in with this number, but they will log in with their the secure browser. Essentially, if they're on their Chromebooks, then they won't actually log into their Chromebooks. They'll click at the bottom where it says apps, and then they'll click on the Texas STAR Cambium assessment, the one they've seen before. If they were a Texas student last year and took the test, they've seen it before. So they'll click on that one, and then they'll be able to go to it. Now let's say that you have a student who can't, for whatever reason, access that, then you can send them to this link here. The problem with this is that this lets them still access everything else on the internet. Because if I right click this and say go to, well, there it is. So the session ID is already put in there because it's attached to the link. So then I can just put in my name and my TSDS ID and say sign in, and it will let me sign in and actually sign up and do the test. But once you sign up and get in here, they can still go to any other tab and research stuff. So you need to make sure you've got your Blocksy enabled so they can only stay on this one page. But it's just better if you just send them to the secure browser. They'll know how to get on there. It'll lock them into just one thing, and then they can do all their tests and stuff there. So that's how you get them on there. Once you get them on there and they go in and start doing their stuff, that's it. You're pretty much done from there. So you can also schedule a proctored session, which means that you're standing there giving them the test. It's a little more control, and then you can monitor those proctored sessions as well. I'm going to click this help guide here, so I can actually show you some of the differences, because I can't show you on my computer because I don't have it. So the difference between proctored and unproctored is that when students sign into the testing site, they will sign in, they'll put in the number, their name, and then their TSDS ID, and they have to actually get approval, which you can see. If I had one going, it would say looking for approval or whatever. But if you don't want to sit here and just have to manually check that yes they can begin, then you'd schedule an unproctored one. That's really the only big difference there. I want to show you how students log in. Just going to show you what it looks like. Okay, so this here is what the students will actually get to see when they, I thought I would just make the picture bigger. Go back, please. This is what the students will see when they log in the right way. So everything else works the exact same. It'll ask, is this you? And then it will show them all of their available tests. So if a bunch of people are giving tests that day, they're going to probably see all of them. But that's fine, they just choose the test they're doing. If they're waiting for approval, it will show up. And then the students can go in here and make sure that that their settings and stuff are all good, just like on the actual STAR test, all those kinds of things. The kids are pretty good about going through it, and if they need help, it's easy enough for you to kind of look over their shoulder and help them get things set up. But again, getting them to sign into that secure browser is the best option, because then they don't have to actually go into like any of these other ones. So that's pretty much it for actually starting and giving out tests. Just as a really brief summary, here's all the things we've covered today. We covered accessing stuff in TFAR, like how to actually log in and get into TFAR. We talked about the 3 big parts of TFAR, which are the items, the tests, and the standards. We talked about where to start, which is by finding the standards you're looking for in that standards tab so that you can quickly search for them because they have a very particular code. How to make a test. How to make a test if you're an English teacher because it's a little more complicated. How to make individual questions and get them on tests. How to bootleg your stuff out of DMAC. How to publish your tests and share them with other teachers and learning leaders. And then how to actually give the test to your students. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any other questions, please just shoot me an email, let me know. Feel free to come back to this video at any point, open it up, check it out. Feel free to also follow along on your own. Have this window open with the video and then have a different window going on with TFAR. Make sure to reference the cheat sheets and the printing materials I'm going to be releasing alongside this video. That way you have all the tools you need to get your test made and get the help you need if I'm not available. Thank you for watching, and again, if you have questions, please shoot me an email or give me a call. I am here to help. Thanks.